Welcome back to the channels, folks. It's good to see you. Luke here, and this is Narrative on Tap. This is your new resource for fantasy and science fiction reviews, recommendations, and TBR breakers. Before I go on, let me just get some housekeeping out of the way. Please like this video if you like what you see, and if you do like what you see, hit that subscribe button so you do not miss any more content that will be coming your way. Book content galore. It is good to be back. That life has been quite changing over the past year and a bit, so it's kind of time for me to kind of dust off dust off the moats from the book and rise from the ashes with a new channel. Plus, I missed you guys, and I miss doing this, and I love talking about books, and I love talking about science fiction fantasy. So let's just get on with it, shall we? So on my first video, I was thinking, what should I do for my first video of the year? Well, what I'll do is I have read 12 books so far, and this is like mid to end of March, 12 books. So I'm going to give you my top 5 books of 2026 so far. So there's some ones on here that probably won't be surprising, and there's a couple on here that may surprise you. Number 5 especially, I think, will surprise you. If you know me and know what I read, this is going to surprise you. But my number 5 of the best books I've read in 2026 so far is Shield of Sparrows by Devon Perry. This is a romantasy. You heard that right, a romantasy. And I read it, and I really, really enjoyed it. This was a buddy read with my good friend Esme. She is a veteran of this subgenre, so she was a good companion, a very good guide through this book. And do you know what? I really enjoyed this. And what really surprised me, firstly, was like the depth of world building, the depth of the lore, the cultures of the different races. It was a really good, strong foundation for these characters to kind of move around in. It meant that the stakes were like genuinely high. It was a book fraught with mystery and danger. So I was really surprised, really surprised by the depth and breadth of that world. And the romance itself, I enjoyed it. It was really good fun. You know, the tension between the two main characters, who I'm not going to name because I think that it goes in a different direction than you might expect it to at the beginning of the book. But the two main characters who fall for each other. You know, there's tension there, it sizzles along nicely, and it's a very slow burn romance. And, of course you get the prize towards the end of the book. But I love the tension. I think it's brilliant. The dialogue is kind of cheesy, a bit over the top, but that's the charm of it. That's the tongue-in-cheek nature. And I think it took me a good few chapters to kind of realise that, because at first I was like, this is eye-rollingly bad. But actually, you kind of relax into it, you vibe with it, you just get that tongue-in-cheek tone, and it's a riot. It's a great laugh, and there was just really good moments. The main character, Odessa, she's got like attitude, she's got snark. She's great. She starts off as this kind of forgotten queen, and then she has to train to be this badass warrior. That kind of trope there, but it works really well. Really good fun, and yeah, I recommend this to any guys or any girls who are not really into romantasy books. This is a good one to start with, I think, because the fantasy element is very, very good, and it's a damn good story as well. Number 4 of my favourite books of 2026 so far is The Dungeon Anarchist's Cookbook by Matt Dinman. This is book 3 in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. I read all 3 of these this year, but I've chosen this one for several reasons. One, despite this book probably being the most confusing so far, if you haven't read it yet, just to give you an idea, basically this level, this world, the third level, the world that he's in this one, is a very, 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 very complex, convoluted kind of train system, and it actually hurts the brain if you try and think about it too hard. So actually the best thing to do in this book is just to read it and go with the ride and enjoy yourself. And even Matt Dinman says that at the beginning of the book. Even the author knows how complicated he's made it, but the trick is just to vibe with it and go with it, and it's good fun. But I chose this one because there's some brilliant character development. Not only for Carl and Donut, but for some of the characters like Katia and Heckler. Some really good kind of character building in this one. And also the kind of lore starts to deepen about the competition, about the universe surrounding it, and about the various companies and kings that kind of sponsor and own the show. That lore is starting to really build, and that's what's hooking me. Because these books could get really, they are in danger of getting very samey, and the same things happen again. But I think what Dinnerman does with building that lore, and also going more in depth with the characters with each book, is what really, really keeps me going. I mean, the rest of it's just great fun. The battle scenes can get a bit repetitive at times. The kind of leveling up and all the chests and everything, they're still fun, but they could get repetitive. But it's because of that lore building and character building that these books still remain damn good fun. So that's number four on my list. Number 3 was another buddy read with my good friend on Bookstagram, Ellie. This was Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Eames. This is such a good fun book. I mean, if you've been reading a lot of heavy fantasy, some miserable, depressing fantasy, and you need a bit of a tonic just to kind of perk you up, I could not recommend Kings of the Wild anymore. It's a rollicking good fantasy adventure, very much kind of inspired by D&D. You've got those kind of archetypal, like paladin and wizard and all those kind of things, and Eames plays with them beautifully. It's such good fun. There's a lot of kind of calls to like 70s and 80s rock and roll bands and rock bands and metal music. There's a lot of, if you're into that, there'll be a lot of names in here which you'll put a smile on your face, because there's some nice good references in there. And yeah, it's just basically about a group of kind of old retired warriors. They've passed their prime and they're kind of forced to come together to save one of their daughters from a city under siege. And they've got creaky bones. They're not they're not very good at the action stuff anymore because they're just old men. But it brings a lovely charm and fun quality to this story. So Kings of the Wild is number 3 on my list. Again, if you need a good uplifting book to read in amongst your hard-going fantasy, Kings of the Wild is one to read. Number 2 of my best books of 2026 so far is book 3 in the Shadow of the Apt series by the master Adrian Tchaikovsky. Anyone who knows me knows that he is one of my favourite, if not my favourite author at this time. Most of you are probably aware of his sci-fi because he is sometimes crowned as the modern king of sci-fi, and I don't think you could go wrong by saying that, to be quite honest. He is just a master of world building. But you would be remiss to forget about his fantasy books as well. And the Shadow of the Apt series, which comprises of 10 books, was one of the first kind of series that he actually wrote. And the third book I just finished this year is called Blood of the Mantis, and this is one of the very cool Broken Binding special editions. I have all of them on this shelf here. Look at this beautiful, beautiful black books with colour. Very, very pretty. So yeah, this is the third book, and I can't really go into too much because I don't want to spoil anything. But what I will tell you is that Tchaikovsky has just built a world which is so rich and complex and lived in. And I think I read an interview where basically he talked about this world was originally conceived as a Dungeons and Dragons style like tabletop role-playing game. So he built and imagined the world, every concept of it, all the politics, all the geography, the races, like the different races' kind of magical abilities and their powers. Everything was constructed before he ever wrote the books, and it shows because the world that these characters live in is probably some of the best world building I've ever read in fantasy, to be quite frank. And to kind of give you an idea of the kind of gist of what the world is about, basically each race of this world is based on an insect. So they don't look like the insects, but they probably have a lot of their characteristics. They have powers that are associated with that real life insect's kind of way of attacking. For instance, the Wasps, who are basically the main bad guys in this book, they are kind of like the Roman Empire charging through these other countries and trying to assimilate everyone into their culture. The Wasps, you know, their armor is yellow and gold. They have they have a power called their sting, so they don't have a tail that they sting off, but out of their hand come blast this kind of ball of flame, which is their sting. So if you kind of get what I mean, there's like every race has a power associated with how that insect attacks other insects or something like that. So you've got mantises, you've got beetles, you've got ants. Ants, they're a kind of subspecies, and they're always at war with each other because they don't like each other. The beetles they don't necessarily have any magical or special powers, but they are what Tchaikovsky calls apt, which is basically they're machinists, they're industrialists, they work with technology. There's a lot of kind of steampunk aspects to this book where there's flying machines, there's boats, and they're all powered by steam. But any of the inapt species, like moths, cannot work machinery. It is not within their ability. Moths, by the way, are some of the best race in this book. They're very mystical, mysterious, old mages, and they have lots of old lore and stuff like that. So it's kind of like industry and magic colliding together. It's almost like the Age of the Samurai, this kind of beautiful, almost poetic form of war through the samurai sword is kind of pushed aside by the machinery of the gun. It's kind of like that. So the old ways, the mystical ways, the magical ways are slowly being pushed aside by industry and machinery, and that's the backdrop of this huge epic military political fantasy. Cannot recommend this anymore. The first book is Empire in Yellow and Gold. That is book number 1. This is book number 3 I've just finished. I've gone on about this for so long, but you know, I've never seen it. You barely see that on Bookstagram, you barely see it on BookTube, and it needs to be talked about more. So there you go. That is my passionate TED talk about Adrian Tchaikovsky's Shadow of the Apt. But now, ladies and gentlemen, my number 1 favourite book of 2026 is one that emotionally crushed me, it destroyed me, it ripped my heart out, it stamped on it, then it spat on it, and then it threw it out the window. Yes, this is Morning Star by Pierce Brown. You motherfucker, this book destroyed me. This is book 3 in the original Red Rising trilogy, part of the Red Rising saga, because it does continue. There's a decade gap, I think, which I've just started to read. Iron Gold, very, very different from the original trilogy, but so far this is my favourite Red Rising saga book. So much happens in this book. It's a beautiful conclusion to the era. If you wanted to read Red Rising as a trilogy and not even continue on, you could do that. This book ends in a way that I think you could do that. But if you're anything like me, you want to carry on because you want to know the consequences and aftermath of what happens in this book. There is, everyone knows Pierce Brown will kill off his darlings. He'll kill off the people that we love. There is a death in this book that caused me to throw this book 8 feet across the goddamn house because it upset me so much. But we love him for it. We love Pierce Brown for ripping our hearts out. We love Pierce Brown for making us cry and scream and sob. This is what reading is all about. There's nothing more I can say about this because it's just a superb 5-star incredible book that will crush you and stamp on your soul, and then you will sob and cry and probably curl up in a corner for a good day or so. That is my favourite 5 books of 2026 so far, because we are only getting towards the end of March, and I might do another one of these in another kind of quarter-ish, because I'm a bit before the quarter, but I might do it again. But expect more kind of fun book lists and recommendations and reviews of books, and I will certainly review Iron Gold on the channel when I have finished that. I'm currently buddy reading that with 2 of my Bookstagram friends, Sophie and Hidden in the Book, and we're early in it. We've got some thoughts already, so it's good. It's all good fun. It's all good fun. Thank you again for watching today. It's been great to be back in the book nook talking to you guys about science fiction and fantasy. It's what I love doing. It brings me happiness, man. I'll be back next week with another video. Until then, revel in the destruction